watching Numbskull News, and today, let me talk about UNC. I think they could be stuck in the ACC and all the way till 2036. And you might as well go ahead and throw in Virginia as well, but I don't know as much about Virginia. There's not as much that has been made public. But the overall speculation is Virginia and Virginia Tech will be stuck together, kind of like UNC and NC State. So mostly I'm going to be talking about UNC. So the first thing is they can't make their own decisions. We all know this. The Board of Trustees has no power at UNC. Any other school, outside of North Carolina, the Board of Trustees can decide whatever they want to, especially with realignment. However, that's not the case. And we all know that's not the case. The Board of Governors has sucked in all that power for themselves. So they get to decide. So the Board of Trustees at UNC, they have to ask, possibly beg to be let out if there's an invite to come as far as the Big Ten or the SEC. Not to mention, on the Board of Governors, there's a lot of NC State people. Folks just assume it'll be a calamony thing. They can work out a deal, and then they can go to one of the big two conferences. However, there's this possible new gambling regulation that's going to be happening in the state of North Carolina, which is they're going to double their tax, and a lot of that money is going to be siphoned right into UNC and NC State. A lot of money. We're talking $20-30 million a year. And a lot of people assume if that passes and those two schools get that money, then they can just pay their way out of the ACC and do whatever they want. However, with the Board of Governors, I don't believe that'll be the case at all. They'll say, well, look, you got the money. You're fine. You don't need to go to one of the big two. You're going to stay right here in the ACC. The state has invested heavily in the ACC, monetarily speaking, and they don't want to see it bust up. These are also politicians, bureaucrats. They don't know everything that's going on with realignment. I doubt they're all that involved. So to them, you got enough money to compete. Shut up. So, of course, the ACC is already backfilled with Calford and SMU. However, there's a good chance that they're going to lose more teams than just those three. FSU, Clemson, and Miami. And what do I mean by more teams? There's a very good possibility Louisville pays their freight, goes to the Big 12, possibly another team. So they may have to backfill with a couple more teams, like American teams, Memphis, Tulane, whoever. And then they get set till 2036. I actually believe that that's where everything's set. So all the talk about, well, there's not going to be any movement till UNC decide. No. If they're stuck and there's no movement, even if I'm wrong about there being an invite to the Big Ten and SEC, which I don't believe is ever coming for UNC. Not anymore. I don't believe the media partners want that deal. Years past, it would have been cool. Now, the market's changed. The values have changed. All the economics in the Big Ten and the SEC and the rest of college football are completely different. It doesn't make logical sense anymore. Or are there still synergies between UNC and the Big Ten? Or possibly the SEC? Yes. But viewership isn't there. And a lot of people discounting viewership. Oh, it's more than just viewership. It's a little more than just viewership. It's not. That's the majority of the reason. The brand value. What you bring in matchups to the Big Ten, to the SEC. UNC doesn't bring the matchups. I've been saying this for over a year. Now, if I'm wrong, of course, I'll make a video. I'll talk about how stupid I am and how I don't understand anything. Yes. But as things stand right now, none of it makes sense to me. I mean, think about it, folks. Think about it. Well, they want to get into the state of North Carolina. Why? In a streaming future, that's not gonna matter. It really isn't. It's about subscriptions, subscribers, paying monthly. That's what it's about. Is there still some life left in the linear model? Yeah, and that'll continue on, but it's fading and fading and fading. Every year it gets the amount of people with a cable or satellite subscription, it just gets smaller and smaller. So in that world, why are you going to invest in something that's dying? Okay? That doesn't make any sense. It's like when the automobiles started, the Model Ts were everywhere, and you're still heavily investing in horse-drawn carriages. Can you not see what's going on? and by the way, there's Big 12 fans out there that, they're thinking, hey, 2030, we could take 4-6 teams out of the ACC. I don't believe that's going to happen. I don't think all these teams want to pay that $75 million. It's still a lot of damn money to pay. Even though it's highly discounted, it's a lot of money to pay. For some, it'll be worth it. I don't know if there's 4 to 6 schools that would be willing to do that, because you got to think, if you're losing your 3 biggest brands, Florida State, Miami, Clemson, and then Louisville and one more, that's 5 teams. So that's $75 million a pop. I'm trying to do the quick math here. Let's see, that's 300 and let's see, what, 375 million? Yeah, I think that's right. About $375 million split amongst the schools that are left. And look, that's not an incredible crap ton of money, but it'll make up for some of your losses for a little while that you're going to receive from the ACC network when that thing craps out because your biggest brands are gone. And then you also have to look at Notre Dame. Do they stick around once those big brands leave? That's a big freaking question. Whether they straight up join the Big Ten or they make alternate plans with ESPN, the Big 12, and the SEC. That's a very, very real possibility for them. And if you add Notre Dame to that mix, holy shit, the ACC is essentially worthless with all of that gone. And then it becomes, some more questions arise. Who wants to stay all the way to 2036 as far as who has to do that? UNC, I think, like I said, the politicians there, I don't think they give a damn. They're going to see the UNC is making plenty enough money to stick around. So if Duke wants to go off and do something, okay, the private school, they can do what they want. Pitt, they can go do what they want. Syracuse, Georgia Tech, whoever's left. So if any of them get the inclination to leave early, they could do so. But by the time you get to 2036, I still think UNC has the value, especially with NC. Because here's another thing. NC State, if I'm right, NC State will be stuck in the ACC as well. Virginia Tech could very well be stuck as well. These are 2 state legislatures with a lot of damn power, a lot of stroke, and it does not appear they're afraid to use it. They've already done so in North Carolina. Like I said, I don't know everything that's going on in Virginia. But from the things I'm hearing, they really want to tie Virginia Tech to Virginia. They want them staying together. Period. End of story. And if you think, whether it's UNC or Virginia, have the power or have the stroke to take along Virginia Tech and NC State with them to the Power 2, even if they have, for whatever reason, they get in on some miracle shot, they don't have that Notre Dame +1 type of power. They would be the +1 if they get in. And Virginia, I don't believe it at all. 5 people watch that football program, and I don't mean to keep crap, and I've crapped on Virginia multiple times. I don't mean to keep crapping on them. But the ratings are horrible, deplorable. Would that get better in the Big Ten? I don't know. Or the SEC. Because when I look at Northwestern, that's not great ratings, is it? If you thought Rutgers would have been helped out in the ratings going to the Big Ten, not really. Not really. So, Vanderbilt doesn't exactly blow your doors off with the ratings. See what I'm saying? Just because you're in that conference doesn't mean you're going to get that big rub. You would think so, but it doesn't happen. Remember, these guys have been playing Notre Dame, FSU, Clemson, Miami forever, and it doesn't help. Those are big brands that get big ratings. Doesn't really help. As far as the full season of Virginia football, still sucks. UNC, it's better. It's better, but you can easily compare them to many Big 12 schools. Many Big 12 schools. Well, I don't know. I don't think they get the ratings of Utah at this point. And Utah is one of the better Big 12 teams. So UNC would, where would they rank? Probably middle of the pack in the Big 12 as far as ratings go, football-wise. But would the Big 12 allow them in? I think they would. 2036, because at that point, the media rights deal's over. And and UNC does not have to sign back up. Board of Governors can kiss their ass at that point. No. I'm pretty sure at that point, they can decide what they want to do. And if the only option they have is the Big 12, them and NC State going, Board of Governors, just get a big old blessing from them, no problem. I know. They're not, they're not going to ever go to the Big 12. There's no way. They're above all that. Yeah, so was Utah. So was Arizona State. Oh, but it's different. No, how's it different? How is it different? I've heard the same shit from all these Pac-12 people that I'm hearing from the ACC people, that I'm hearing from North Carolina people. The same shit. It's going to be the same result. It'll take a little longer. But the way things are looking, UNC, all you Tar Heel fans out there, get used to being in the ACC. Because you're not going to get let out. You're not going to be allowed to buy out, to sue your way out, to hammer your way out. And as far as dissolving the conference goes, it's not going to happen either. There's too many schools that don't really have a landing spot in the Power 3 when you include the Big 12. They won't have that security. So why in the hell would they ever vote to dissolve? Even if that's an option. The Magnificent Seven. Remember that? Does anyone remember that shit? So if you could find a couple other schools to dissolve the thing, they would have by now. No. I don't think Cal or Stanford, SMU, Wake Forest, Boston College, possibly Syracuse. There's a bunch of no's right there. How are you going to dissolve the conference if you can't get enough teams on board to do so? It's ridiculous. That's not going to happen. They're going to be stuck till 2036. And that's it. They'll collect some exit fees, of course. They'll get their gambling money as long as they can get it doubled. That's still up in the air. We still don't know if that's going to happen. The reporters on the ground there think that it's going to happen. They think that that's a done deal. We'll see. And if it is, they'll have plenty of money to be fine until 2036. Them and NC State both. Virginia Tech, probably not that lucky. So we'll see what happens. How tied are they together in actuality? Don't know. Again, we'll have to freaking see. But, yeah, stuck. No Big 2 for them. It's ACC or bust till 2036 for UNC. Sorry, but that's the way it's looking. Of course, if it changes, I'll acknowledge that. I'll talk about that. Got no issue with that. Anyway, thanks for watching this crap, and I'll be back with some more crap later. Bye.